Hello everyone. As you can see, I got my block back. Just finished cleaning it and just finished cleaning out the cylinders. Let's see if I can. I did a pretty good job with them. Ended up being bored 40 over is what it took to clean them up. They did a pretty decent hone job too. I actually was hoping that these bores were going to be okay because I wanted to show you how to hone cylinders, but in this video I'm going to go ahead and show you how to clean cylinders after you get it back from the machine shop, and we're also going to be installing the cam bearings. But basically what you need to clean the cylinders is a can of WD-40 there, a can of brake cleaner, and some paper towels. I'm going to go ahead and set you guys up. Okay, I've went through and I've cleaned all these cylinders except for this last one here. I'm just going to show you real quick how to do it. Now, for the first pass with the paper towels, I use the brake cleaner. And you want to make sure that wherever you're doing this, you have a window open or a door, because you're going to be spraying a lot of these chemicals. So it's a good idea to have it open. Also, before you get started doing this, make sure your hands are very clean so you don't recontaminate your cylinders. But the main reason you do this is whenever they machine it, they do clean it out, but cast iron leaves kind of like a fine powder behind when it's machined. And with that cross hatching in there, it'll get stuck in that cross hatching. So you have to go through and wipe it out really well. Okay, you see on my paper towel there? See how it's a little bit dark up there where my fingers were? That's what you want to be removing. You see it? That's really fine iron chips is what that is. So after my first pass with the brake cleaner, I just go ahead and do a couple more passes with WD-40. And right after your first pass with the brake cleaner, you want to kind of move kind of quickly, because with that brake cleaner it will remove any protective coating that was in there, and your cylinders can actually sort of flash rust. So just spray some on there. Now, I've already taken this block to the car wash and blasted it off really well, and I went ahead and cleaned everything else on it. But before you clean your cylinders out, and before you go and take it to get washed or whatever, you want to go ahead and retap all your head bolts. That way you're not dropping all that crap into your freshly cleaned engine. But you wind up going ahead and doing this probably about 4 or 5 times. But it's very important to get these cylinders cleaned out, because the more crap you get out, the longer it'll last. But it's not hard to do, but it just takes a little bit of time. In addition, whenever you're cleaning this, whenever you take it to the car wash or wherever you're going to be hosing it off, you want to get some small brushes or something that'll fit in these oil galleys, and you want to clean out the oil galleys real well. And I'll show you what you clean on the bottom side when we flip this block over to do the cam bearings. I'll show you how to clean all that. Starting to look pretty clean. I'm probably going to take 2 more passes with this. one more to get the final little bit out. And whenever it looks clean, whenever you finally get it looking good and there's no dark matter on your paper towel, go ahead and wipe it one more time just to be safe. Yeah, that's looking pretty good there. Almost nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and do my final wiping. Okay, that's clean. So then whenever you're all done wiping it down, just go ahead and spray the crap out of it, because you don't need these to rust. And then whenever you have your whole bank done, what I like to do is just go ahead and just spray the whole deck down. You don't need the deck to rust either. So that was my final cylinder that I had to do. And now I'm going to go ahead and flip this block over and we'll start doing the cam bearings. Grab some gloves. Now I just have this block sitting on a couple of 5-gallon buckets with some rags, so this might get a little shaky. This is actually a fairly heavy block too. I was actually surprised at how heavy it was. Go. Okay. Not quite as stable as I'd like it to be, but there we go. That's better. Okay, now that you got your block flipped over, what you want to do is, I've already done this. I did it before I flipped the block to clean all the cylinders. But you want to run a little brush through these little holes here. Not sure if you can see them. My lighting is not the best right now. But these little holes in the main journals, you want to clean those out. Clean the journals themselves. Any kind of oil galley, just make sure it gets real clean. And before we go ahead and install our cam bearings, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'll wipe the cam journals out. Spray them down with some WD-40 and wipe them out to make sure there's no dust or residue or whatever. Just make sure they're real nice and clean, because that's the most important thing about putting an engine together. Well, I suppose next to putting it together right, but I want to make sure everything's real clean. You also want to make sure when you're wiping it down, you're not leaving lint behind. Now what you want to do with these is you want to line the oil holes up in the block with the oil holes in the bearing, which apparently on this engine are all straight down on the bottom here. And these are just a straight journal, there's no groove in them. If they had a groove, you could actually clock the bearing a little bit, so it would actually introduce oil a little bit before the camshaft is on the bottom. It's a little trick I've done with small block Chevys before, and it seems to work. But this engine, you can't do that. So here we have the new cam bearings. These are Durabond brand. I've used Durabond before. They're pretty nice bearings. They're not very expensive either. They're made here in the U.S., so I mean that's good. And as soon as you open the box, right on this flap here, in the case where you have an engine like this where the bearings are different, you can see on this flap, sorry, but these are the positions. It tells you the number of the bearings, and then over here you have the position, which journal. So, according to this, O-7-1 is number 1. So we're going to look on the bearing. I have a feeling it's this one, the larger hole in it. And you don't want to be touching the insides of these bearings with your bare hands. The fingerprints can actually leave residue. Okay, O-7-1. Alright, that's it. Now you see this one's different than the rest because it has this journal inside of it. See that journal in there? And it has 2 holes. So, we're going to have to do... Now this bearing's different than the one that came in it. Originally it just had the 1 hole. But this one, I believe these are just like a one-size-fits-all as far as these Oldsmobile engines go. You want to check the fit first. Make sure it seems like it's going to fit. I think it will. Now, I install my cam bearings a little bit differently than most people. Most people just take the front one and they just stick the tool straight in like this. But I don't like doing that because you don't really have anything to go off of to line it up. So I actually start in the back and go through like that. That's typically what I do, but we're going to try it. So make sure your tool is clean and ready to go. Next, take a clean towel and wipe the inside of your bearing off. Use a little bit of brake cleaner or whatever, just to make sure it's real clean. Okay, that looks pretty good. And as you can see, there was actually dirt and little metal flakes on the inside of this bearing, straight from the factory, so you want to make sure you get that clean. But again, don't touch it with your bare hands. Wow, this was actually pretty dirty. I've never seen them come like that. That's pretty good. Next step, what I'll do is I'll take some kind of oil. Just what I have on hand right now. You want to use a kind of light oil, I suppose. Oops. I just use this 3-in-1 electric motor oil. It's just what I have on hand. And what you want to do is take a little bit, and I put it a little bit of it on this, the end of my tool here, just enough to kind of wet it, you know. Kind of smear it around a little bit. What that'll do is that'll kind of help your bearing slide on a little better, and it'll also be pretty gentle on it. So you just fit your bearing on and turn the tool till it expands to fit it. Now what you want to make sure is that your bearing is straight on your tool. See how it's right behind this driving collar? Actually, I goofed a little. I actually want to take this collar off and lay it in the engine like this. Got ahead of myself a little bit. Lay your collar in there. I'll take the tool and come in from the rear hole. And thread the tool into the head. Make sure your bearing is lined up straight on your head. Okay. Now I'll take a little bit of your oil. Just put it on the outside of the bearing now. This will help it go in a little easier. Okay, now I have the oil hole lined up with the oil hole in my journal. So now what I'll do is I'll just begin tapping it in. Get it lined up good. And just start tapping. You don't want to rush this because you don't want to mess your bearing up. It seems like my bearing has come loose a little. Okay, whenever it starts to start getting into position, you want to just shine a light down into your journal hole and check where your hole in the bearing is. You just want to keep going until those two holes are lined up. We're almost there, just a little bit farther. One more good tap and it should be in. Okay, that's perfect. So number one bearing's done. What we'll do is loosen this up, back, and that looks pretty good. So now what we do is we're just going to move back to our second hole. Actually, since I've noticed that these bearings get smaller as they go through, probably just need to bring it back. Now remember to clean the neoprene on the pull off between each use and to re-oil it. That'll ensure that your bearings are clean as possible whenever they go in. This next bearing. Okay, according to our box, 06-2 will be the next one. Now remember, these bearings are all smaller diameter as they go back. It's okay, so 0602. Clean it up with some brake cleaner. pretty much be the same process throughout. Okay. Oop. Forgot to put some oil on the bearing. Get close. One more. Perfect. Oops. Let's go back to the next one. Okay, according to our box, 06-3 will be the next one. This one off. Okay, got the oil hole centered. Oil in the bearing. And that looks good. More taps. One more and that should be good. Okay, looks good. 2 more left. According to our box, 06-4s are next. And this will be our last bearing doing it from behind. The last one will come from the front, so that just like our front bearing, it'll have somewhere to line up.